All right, welcome back. It is Sunday night right now, and this is my first video, I believe, of no, this is we're in Monday already. Hope y'all had a strong weekend, productive dog-free weekend, and I hope you're psyched up and ready for Monday. This is the toughest day of the week for a lot of people. So it kind of requires top notch motivation. I want y'all to meet Monday in the middle of the ring. Okay? You go out looking for Monday. Don't be haunted and found by Monday. You go hunt and destroy. Always have a strong Monday. It sets the tone for the whole week. Big shout out to everybody who's able to make it. This is rather late, at least where I am. I believe I'm East Coast time too. If I'm not mistaken, we got the same time as like New York City, and it is 12:51 a.m. I know heading west, it is earlier, so big shout out to all the Westerners and everybody around the world. As some of you know, I recently created a petition. Big shout out to the 30 people who already signed the petition. Shout out to I Hate Mutts, Ashar, and Macho Mike in the building. Hope y'all have had time to make it over, sign the petition. If not, I'm gonna keep the link available. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and put in the chat room and pin it at the very top of the chat room, if I can here. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, let's try this again. Okay. Of course, they make it difficult for me. Let me do it this way. Yeah, because I think this link is shorter. It's probably suited for, yeah, that's a lot better. All right, so, oh, wait a minute here. Okay, I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to repin it. Add a message. Please sign petition. Petition to keep dogs out of house. Oh, yes. We have to. I feel like this is a good start. Get these dogs out of the hospitals first. I mean, y'all should know better. You know what I'm saying? That's a real good one to start with. Get them out of the hospitals. And why? Who made the decision to put them in hospitals in the first place? Shame on all of you. Okay, and hopefully we can make something happen with this petition. Hope you've had time to read over it. I didn't go too crazy. Tried to dive right into it. The issue, I got right into it. Below is a list. Zoonotic diseases spreads from dogs to humans, along with how many people on average contract these infections per year. Okay, now there's no way for us to find out exactly how many of these people contracted it from dogs, but we can rest assured that a healthy percentage of them did. Right? What other potential transmitter are they closer to than dogs? And flat out, what else is more efficient at spreading, catching something and then spreading it to the owner? It's guaranteed that the owner will be the one whose face is being licked on, and where the dog decides to dispense its saliva. Along with other things, it's going to be the dog lover, him or herself. Okay. So I laid all that out. And the crazy thing is, we all know the list is missing a few things. And these numbers are crazy. And these are always the numbers I'm referring to. When I talk about how anything related to our health, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that all of these people who catch these are getting it from dogs, but obviously dogs contribute. How could they not? You got all these cases. Dogs are in some 60, however many percentage of homes in the United States, and they're filthy. Dogs are filthy nasty. They have to be contributing. And y'all, I mean, the idea of people licking each other's face immediately hits people as a health hazard, especially healthcare workers. You instantly get that feeling of that is just hazardous health-wise. You remember, you would get beaten up back during 2020, during the big shutdown, if you were to pull your mask down and spit on someone. I think we heard a case, something like that happening, right? When it comes to humans, we view saliva as nasty, as toxic. You understand? But when it comes to dogs, somehow that saliva is supposed to be magical and acceptable. I don't think so. Right? Then I just, research homes with greater number of bacteria, get into more of the health hazard. I don't believe this, by the way. Don't believe this, that about 10-20% of people worldwide are allergic to dander. I believe it's more than that. But I'm gonna roll with the most sources say online. It's impossible, and it's not just that. A lot of people talk about skin irritations and whatnot they get from dander. It's not just allergies that attack our sinuses. Got to understand that too. And I point out how it's impossible for the dog, for a person to prevent a dog from releasing dander and dog hair. That's impossible. The only way to do that is to not have the dog around. If it's present, it will be releasing dander and hair. Excuse me. We always talk about how, dog lovers have dog hair all over them. So what you doing bringing that into a hospital? Why would you bring that into a hospital? And the fact that the dander is also microscopic and remains airborne for several hours. Are you kidding me? Get that thing. Don't you ever bring nothing like that into a hospital. We all know that. And like I said, this never should have happened. People should have known better. I think I pointed out the Hippocratic Oath too. We'll get to it. I gave some links. Always helps boost credibility. Dog feces, I get into how toxic dog feces is. I left out the fact that it's the number one contaminant of our water, and I believe our air as well. Saliva, very toxic as well. And I can't help but to compare dogs to humans. So I did that again, and it would not be acceptable for humans to go in hospitals, whether or not they remove their face mask, just start licking or spitting on patients. Somebody would probably tackle you for doing that, even if you were to just lick on them. It would immediately be viewed as an attack. Think about that. Come on, people. It's not that hard to evolve. I point out how they shake their bodies. People, that's a creature that seems to be instructed to contaminate the environment. Doing something like that? Here you covered in hair and fur, and you're going to shake your entire body almost in a vibration type way. And if you watch them, they shake their whole body head to tail. And they'll do it often, and it's ridiculous. It's such a contaminant. You'll find dog owners who say that they can literally see it go airborne when their dogs shake. We've seen it on several videos that I've shown here. This is embarrassing, to be honest. It's embarrassing. No blue collar everyday laborer should be pointing this out to medical professionals. Another thing, I did give them my phone number because they said that, if your petition is interesting enough, the media will cover it. And if the media wants to call me on or get an interview, I most definitely will give them an interview. Y'all know I'm more than ready to talk about this or write about it. I talk about how they're on beds. That's very inappropriate. That's unprofessional, people. Forget about all this. Oh, it's so cute. That's unprofessional and it's nasty. It's the equivalent of a human standing on the beds. Would that be acceptable? These things are walking on the bare floor like you are walking on the bare floor. But we don't stand on hospital beds. We don't stand on no beds. It makes us look like kids to accept this from dogs when we would not accept this from human beings. And it makes us we lose credibility because we're incorrect and we're just wrong, flat out wrong. That's just what it is. And I point out how dogs, they typically go into more toxic environments. The grass, puddles of mud, they don't care. They walk on any and everything. Whereas humans will try to avoid the grass and whatnot. It's more dangerous to let these things on top of beds. Plus, they have fur and hair around their paws. So that filth to get trapped in the hair and be released. That is insane. This never should have happened. Never should have happened. And I don't have any doubts, really. I don't care if this petition does not get that many signatures. This petition is correct. It's correct. And media outlets, they can be biased all they want. I don't need an interview. Okay? Our presence will be made on this earth. It is being felt on this earth. Doctors, and I said doctors and nurses may be washing their hands before and after rubbing on dogs, but they are not changing their clothes, which also gets contaminated. And I don't care if you are washing your hands. Shouldn't have to. And we still dealing with a major contaminant. You know, that's just what it is. Why? Obvious statements. Why introduce a major contaminant and spread of zoonotic infections into a hospital? That's insane. I should not be telling, nobody should have to tell medical professionals, nurses, and doctors something like this. It's like they turn into kids when it comes to dogs and rules no longer apply. No, people have to reject that. And of course, I refer to people with xenophobia. Hey, y'all created the definition. It's a real medical issue. What about those types of people? And you know those types of people don't want to verbally object quite often. And some people are just not dog people like us. You don't have to be allergic or have xenophobia. We do not like dogs. We're not dog people. And finally, I had to take it there. Because if you read the Hippocratic Oath, they violate it. This violates it. No doubt, an honest person who believes in the Hippocratic Oath will agree that part of the Hippocratic Oath is that the doctor creates the healthiest environment possible to the best of their knowledge and capabilities, maintain the cleanest environment possible in the interest of the patient, the health of the patient. Okay, again, I don't care who disagrees or how few signatures this petition gets. This petition is correct. We are correct. The dog culture critics are correct. That's just what it is. And I know the world has a problem with simply saying, yeah, you guys are correct. Okay, we'll just take that credit. All right. Now, got that out the way. Shout out to Shaka in the building. Let's get into the subject of this live stream.
Children who experience physical, cognitive, or emotional neglect, say because their mother was sick and their father was busy, often face anxiety. As a result, their body produces stress hormones. If this happens a lot, these hormones become toxic for their developing brain, which then...
Can you imagine how many stress hormones are produced with these dumb dogs, especially these large, dangerous dogs?
Later can repress emotional and cognitive well-being for life.
This is serious. We're dealing with a lifetime thing. It's like brain damage. It's like brain damage. And it's for life. And in many forms of neglect.
Which then later can repress emotional and cognitive well-being for life. The real story of Daniel Rugărianu, who spent part of his early childhood in a Romanian orphanage, shows the full impact neglect can have. The story began in 1966 when Romania's then leader Nicolae Ceausescu wanted to make his country a world powerhouse and came up with laws to increase the country's population. Abortion and contraception were declared mostly illegal. While the law led to a rapid rise in birth rates, many of the poorer families...
That's interesting too. Talking about a reduction in population, why not close the abortion clinics? If you really want to increase the population,
families were unable to take care of all their children, and Daniel and around 500,000 others were sent to state-run institutions. In most orphanages, there were no toys, no books, or anything else to stimulate cognitive development. Many kids just stared at the bare ceilings, waiting for their next meal, due to the lack of human contact.
Now, okay. This is actually kind of difficult to watch. This is difficult to hear. This is horrible. Horrible. And I'm going to deal with how dogs fit into this. I mean, you can't count the number of times the parents show favor to the dog. And what's with this this slogans? They make artifacts, all this stuff, and it's actually a popular thing among them. Dogs are better than children and all this kind of stuff. And at the very least, they'll compare them and say the dogs are their equal, which is, if you ask me, another form of abuse and neglect. You don't say nothing like that. The dog is not their equal, but they push this. They push this nonsense. So in the child's mind, hey, I'm no more important than a stupid dog. You don't do that. You don't do that. It's a form of neglect and outright foolishness. And it shouldn't be no surprise, looking at all the other stupid and childish things nutters involve themselves in. It's a degenerate culture. Get out of it.
Books, or anything else to stimulate cognitive development. Many kids just stared at the bare ceilings, waiting for their next meal. Due to the lack of human contact, some babies develop strategies for self-stimulation, such as rocking back and forth.
Man, there should never be a time in our public school systems where they read to dogs rather than other students, are required to spend time, talk to, and interact with a stupid dog rather than other students. When students have a break time, when you're done at babbling as a teacher, I remember school. I remember when I was a kid in school, it felt good when we could get up out of our desk, actually stand up and interact with other students. That's not the time that you tell them to read to no stupid dog or anything other than each other. These are the people they spend every day with. These are basically like family. If you ask me, that can only work against them. That's on top of you forcing creatures onto many students who don't want them creatures in there. And you also contaminating the environment. There's a whole lot of things wrong with this. Okay, but if you ask me, it's irrefutable that it has only a negative effect on them. The presence of no stupid dog is not having any benefit to them at all.
The cognitive neglect often led to lower IQ scores, delayed language development, and a lack of creative thinking. This happens because our brains build connections with every new experience and stimulation. If there are no rich experiences during the first years of life, the period in which the brain develops the fastest, children cannot...
Don't you think that's a crazy thing to tell a child when their brain is developing the fastest, that they're the equal of dogs are their equal, or that dogs are better than them, and all this nonsense? That's very dangerous. And see, this is why they target the young. They understand that this is the time when you indoctrinate them. They understand that very well. Real manipulative and malicious culture. I just don't get it.
Build the foundations necessary for optimal future learning. They miss out for life. Daniel lived with over 400 other children, and their shared bedrooms were hardly ever cleaned. The meals were mostly tiny portions of boiled cabbage, which the staff would sometimes steal to eat
Oh
themselves.
man, listen, man. I know for a fact. In some of these homes, it's like torture, where the youngster is constantly seeing their parents happy as all get up with the dog, and they never see their parents that happy when they're interacting with them. And in some of these homes, the only time they interact with them is when they want them to take out the trash, wash the dishes, do this, do that, or when they're in trouble. That's pretty much the only time they even talk to them. But all the other time, the FaceTime, the selfies, taking pictures, making videos. And already know in some of these nutter homes, they spending all kinds of quality times with the stupid dog. And the youngsters, all they get is yelled at, beaten on, and called on to do stupid chores. Boy, nuttery, there is different levels. Dogs have nothing but a negative impact on homes, but in some homes, you already know, it's far worse than others.
Some supervisors used violence to control the orphans. Others encouraged the older kids to beat Daniel, to humiliate him and exercise authority.
Now, you wait.
The consequences of physical
Y'all might wonder what this might have to do with it, but understand, youngsters are not stupid. They understand full well that dogs can bite and that they're deadly. Young people understand that. And they know that they're constantly under threat, that their life is constantly in danger nonstop. It has to be a level of abuse or abusive. I know I would feel like dirt if my parents did that, because it would feel like they don't even care about my life. Like, why are they putting my life at risk 24 hours a day, every day of my life? What if this thing suddenly snaps and attacks me? I'm reading online, I'm seeing these videos online, the adults can't even stop them. This thing haul off and tee off on me, my parents not going to be able to pull it off. These youngsters looking at multiple people unable to stop these things attacking. So they're walking around in those homes. They have to feel tortured, or not tortured, horrified, under constant like terrorism. That's a form of abuse. Don't tell me. And that most certainly raises their cortisol levels, their stress hormones. Most certainly. You can't tell me it don't. Y'all having all kinds of negative effects on young people who can't control the environment and have no say-so in how the home is structured. That is insane. And that most certainly contributes to the underdevelopment of their brain. Most certainly. And it's real scary that this takes place when their brain is developing the fastest.
Neglect and lack of basic nutrients caused most orphans to suffer from stunted growth. Some children contracted HIV and hepatitis B as a result of the reusing of medical supplies. The physical abuse caused severe bruising and other injuries. The overworked and undertrained staff hardly ever soothed the crying children. In fact, they barely spent any time with Daniel at all. Some children were left completely alone with their worries. Others hid their feelings from the very people who ought to protect them,
yes.
since they feared being hurt.
Man, please. This is many dog lovers' homes. You know why? You know why? You know how I know? Look at these people's social media. And look at how often their youngsters are in the photos. There are several profiles like this where 95% of their whole photo album is with the dog. So they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on Twitter. taking video, laughing, whatnot, having a good time, and the youngsters constant yelling at them because they're not the dog. They don't get them the likes and whatnot and all the attention on social. You got to take into account this modern social media nutter era. This is definitely going on in many of those homes. And if it's not, it really don't make it all that much better.
Emotional neglect and anxiety lead to an excessive production of the stress hormones known as adrenaline and cortisol, which is like poison for the developing brain. But the experience also distorted the children's understanding.
Poison? Cortisol? Think about that. Cortisol is like poison to the developing brain, meaning at such a young age, there's no reason for us to be all stressed out like that. And it's not natural for us to be all stressed out, meaning we don't need no stupid therapy dogs. Don't need no therapy dogs. Like, don't y'all remember being that young? Every day was like heaven, fun. It was nothing but fun, except when you was in trouble. But man, you can make anything fun. You could play and have fun with a Dorito. So yeah, I don't buy this nonsense that young people need therapy dogs to help them relax and de-stress.
But the experience also distorted the children's understanding of love and human relationships. They learned to trust nobody, and as adults, often suffered from depression.
Can you imagine? I mean, how worthless is love? You know they're going to have a very distorted understanding of love and relationships because your crazy parents not only risking your life, they're risking their life and everybody else in the house. This is the reality. Yeah, I mean, this is a recipe for raising crazy, insane people. Putting in their mind at extremely vulnerable times, ages in their life, putting in their mind that they're worthless, okay? And essentially, dogs are more valuable because these stupid mutants inside of these homes, nobody's going to just haul off and tee off on that dog, start stabbing it to death or nothing stupid like that. Those dogs are going to tee off and tweak out one day and attack somebody in the home. And over half the time, it's going to be one of the youngsters.
Insomnia and social anxiety. When Ceausescu's regime was eventually overthrown and the conditions inside the orphanage were shown on television, research...
I'm sorry. But dog culture, it damages us in far more ways than I'm able to understand or explain. It do a lot more than I'm able to understand or explain. Because everything about dog culture is just flat out wicked, evil, playing with life, making life worthless. It degrades human beings. It degrades you, and for you to have it around your family, which is supposed to be the most vulnerable. That's the one thing everybody is expected to protect and lay down their life for. Their family, their immediate family. Are you out of your mind? You putting your immediate family in the most danger. Polluting the environment. It's not just the danger that you're putting everybody in. How can you feel good bringing a newborn in a nasty, stinking, disease-ridden, parasite-ridden, bacteria-ridden, infested, nasty environment like that? Basically, bringing your babies into a doghouse and forcing them to live in a doghouse. That is disgusting. How can you expect a brain to develop normally growing up in a doghouse? Just living a life like this.
Researchers from around the world came to examine the nameless children. MRI scans later showed that some had smaller volumes of brain mass. The resulting research made a strong case that
Listen to that. People, how they are treated at these young ages determine how physically large their brain grows. See, here's what I like. Now, some of y'all know I've been into psychology for years and years. I'm crazy about the human mind, developmental psychology, and stuff like that. This is crazy. The treatment of human beings at very young ages needs to be treated with the utmost respect and care. And dog culture is just one thing out of many, as we all know. A society is falling apart in so many ways, other than dog culture, and I'm sure many of you are aware some of the things that they're doing in some of these schools. If society is falling apart so bad in those other ways, why would dog culture be positive? Why would this be a genuinely good sector of society? It's not. It's just as twisted and evil as the other side. Really can't make this up.
Not only is nutrition vital to a child's development, but so is human contact. To help the children,
for human contact to be this important in a young person's life and development, cognitive development, it's insane. So all you dog organizations, you therapy dog organizations, you're doing a huge disservice to this country. All of you, all you dog owners, period, doing a huge disservice to this country. All of you. We will not evolve with dogs. They have to be gotten rid of before human beings can evolve. Y'all waste too much time and energy that's made for humans on dogs. Soulless, lifeless killers. Dumb, stinking, worthless pieces of trash. This will forever be marked as a degenerate era in human history. All because of y'all. Let's make it clear for the record that there's a sector of society that is not like this.
Number were adopted into foreign families. But even after being adopted, many had problems forming loving bonds to their new parents. This aligns with the attachment theory and the notion that a child needs to establish a loving relationship with at least one primary caregiver early in life. Daniel was quite lucky with his family while he continued.
Man, and they go on with this nuttery from birth at even younger ages than this. There's like no hope. Let me not say that. Hopefully, there are some dog culture critics out there who were raised like this and can say otherwise. But this is deep. We are very much the product of our environment. So introducing dogs into an environment, our environment, at these young ages, that should be a crime. It is a crime.
To experience trauma and anxiety, he went on to have a university education, started a family of his own, and later he founded a non-profit organization for neglected children.
Okay, well, man, that is encouraging. And we needed to hear that. I needed to hear that. Thank you very much. Okay, there's hope. There can be change. But before there can be change, you have to start doing different. Just like what you were actually doing, what you were involved in, changed your brain and changed you. You need to do something else to try to go back to normal.
If you grew up in a loving environment, count yourself really, really lucky. If you experienced forms of neglect, try to internalize the idea that it was never your fault and maybe not even your parents' fault either. To read what we think can be done if you have ever experienced neglect, read the descriptions below. One way is to share your thoughts about neglect and how you think it affects you today.
Neglect, and it's not just neglect, it shapes you. The attention you didn't get, the attention that you did get, was it quality attention? What kind of attention, what kind of company is a worthless, stupid, dumb dog constantly sniffing around for food, stinking, getting saliva everywhere, you know, just being an annoying, just being a nuisance in every way possible? How's the presence of something this out of sync with people supposed to benefit us? The only benefit either of us get is that dumb dog when y'all feed it. Aside from that, there is no beneficial exchange of nothing. None about that dumb, stupid mutt going where you go, right? Barking, urinating, taking dumps, and contaminating every environment they enter into. Obviously, there's a lot more to know about this subject. A whole lot more than I was able to cover in this video. This is one of those videos where I will need as much help as I could possibly get. Those of you in the psychology, psychiatry, or whatever, maybe sociology, I'm pretty sure you can chime in. But I think this is a serious, extremely serious, one of the most serious discussions you can have when it comes to dog culture. How these mutants contribute to the underdevelopment of our brains. I mean, keep it real. How much more serious than that can you get? Big shout out to all of you able to join me for this live stream. And I hope you can join me for the next as we continue with this crusade.